Good morning everybody, different podcast this week. As you're probably aware, we're off to Scotland. So I'm a little bit late, I need to go and pick Alex up and then we'll get on our way. So not sure how this is going to pan out, we'll probably do the match results en route. Why not, if we can. So stay tuned and we'll show you as much as we can about our trip to the Daiwa factory. Right, I've got him in the van, here he is.
Hello?
Is that it?
That's it, mate, yeah. That's all you're going to get.
Oh, right, so we've got 7 hours.
7 hours, that's what it is.
I'm going to give you the camera and you can video us all the way there. So this is going to be a 7 hour podcast. No, it won't, no. Right, see you probably in Scotland or halfway, whichever we decide.
I'm doing my Ukraine bit today, we're in yellow. Ukraine.
7 hours.
Yeah, great. Do we start becoming miserable now? I might fit in well here, eh? Mr. Niggard. Maybe I'm Scottish.
Maybe you are. Do you feel at home?
Yeah, I feel
there
at home now.
We are here. We have arrived at Hamilton at the Holiday Inn and it is very, very nice. I'm going to pretend I'm a proper YouTuber and a bit of a show and tell of the room. Toilet. And beautiful luxury massive bed. And it's not true, by the way, that me and Alex are sharing a room. This is the penthouse suite and I've made sure that he is down there somewhere in the servants' quarters. So he's probably got a little single bed somewhere and crying. And this is my beautiful view. It's kind of, I don't know what it is, back end of a shop. So tomorrow morning I can look out my window and see the beautiful sunrise in Hamilton. Right, so we're in the hotel room. It's Wednesday morning.
Indeed.
Didn't film anything last night because we had a curry and then we just watched Man U get thrashed by Atletico Madrid and that was about it.
Master of the dark arts, wasn't it?
Alex has woken up with some kind of allergic reaction.
My face is all blown up, lovely.
Are you allergic to Scotland?
Might be, yeah.
Or curry?
No, I think it's shower gel.
Or beer?
No, it's not beer.
What I'm just doing, I'm going to wind up Tom Cole because Tom Cole was going to fish Alex's 2-day festival this weekend.
The final, yeah.
The final, and I was going to film him and he has messaged Alex, what, a couple of days ago, that he's got to work, but he hasn't told his cameraman. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to message him and make out that I'm really looking forward to the weekend. I've cancelled a family holiday and we'll see if we can get a response from him for the next 5 minutes as we do the match results. So bear with me. Looking forward to the weekend. Hope your hooks are sharpened.
Yeah.
So we're going to wind him up, and also we discovered something else last night, didn't we? About Mr. Green.
What, Liverpool fan?
Liverpool fan.
Yeah, he's a big Liverpool fan, Mr. Green.
But not just a Liverpool fan, the fact that we can get him to bite.
Yeah.
So we're going to try and wind him up again today as well. So if we can catch him biting on film, we will.
Yeah.
It'll be like a ooh, like a ooh, like a ooh. Got him, got him. The problem is he might swear, so I might have to bleep it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So he's replied. Tom Cole is replying straight away. Let's see what he's going to say. He's going to make his excuses. We'll come to that in a minute. Right, match results. Where do you want to start, buddy?
Well, we'll start with the Ramsey Club match. So, as always, there were St Mary's. Wednesday's match was won by Kevin Moult with 13-14, peg 1. There's a bit of a running theme here. Peg 2 was second, which is Mark the Bus Conductor Williams. Now, you might know why we call him that. Have you seen his fishing vehicle?
No.
No? You've not seen that great big bus that gets parked down St Mary's?
No.
That's what. Well, his new nickname is Mark Bus Conductor because that's his. Well, it's his home, I think. He lives
in the bus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he was second with 12-3. Ivan Benjamin Button, good to see him back with 9-13, was third. So that was Wednesday. Sunday was won by Ray Ellington with £15.8 from peg 1, so well done. Sorry, it was peg 2. Runner-up was Bus Conductor with £11.6, and third was Raveley Dave with £9.4. So not too bad weights, really.
Something's happened, hasn't it, last week?
Yeah, the fish have just, well, different fish have started feeding, haven't they? I think the roach has definitely migrated to whatever they do, if they were there in the first place. So yeah, so that was Ramsey, and then Saturday was the last Saturday Woodsley match, which Jeff Tettleby I think is now sort of retired from running those matches.
He's done a great job, hasn't he?
Fantastic job, yeah. And it's just brilliant to see, anglers from all different disciplines fishing, and it's great, having the wooden spoon, the chip shop award. It's what fishing's all about, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
yeah.
Tom Cole just replied, by the way.
Oh right, right.
Sorry, mate. I was going to message you. I've got to work on Saturday. Blah 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 blah. So I've just replied to him saying, "No, I've cancelled a family holiday." So let's just see what happens in the next 5 minutes. Yeah, going back to Jeff's done a brilliant job, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So just hope. Well, who's running it next year?
I don't know, is the honest answer. I'm sure someone will carry it on. Got some big boots to fill, haven't they?
Yeah.
But I'm sure whoever does it will do it their way as well. So good luck to those. And it was quite fitting that he won the match at Beggars.
Yes.
£6 free. Runner up was Dan Abbott with £5.8, and then Chris Arvin was third with £4. So there was a lot of them there. So they sort of pegged it in sections, and yeah, it was good. Well done, Jeff. Really.
Yeah, that is good, isn't it?
Well done, yeah.
That's hard work winning those matches. And he's done it for several years, hasn't
For quite a while, yeah.
he?
Yeah, he has. Yeah. And and then have you got any?
Yeah, I've got the Boston one.
Matches?
Yep, so.
Or Wayne flipped me up.
Oh, I had them all, you know what I'm like with this. I had them all lined up, and then I got sidetracked winding up Tom Cole, so I've lost them again. But I got them back. So he's replying. We'll have a look in a minute. So Sunday's results was back on the river steeping, and first place was first on peg 0.
Yeah, so they would have put a peg.
Peg 0. Peg 0. Peg 0.
Yeah.
You can see I was confused.
Yeah.
Peg 0. Peg 0. Peg 0. Derek, what are you doing to me? Peg 0. Ian Brodie had £5.5. Second on peg 1, not 0, was Nathan Watson with £4.5. Third was Dave Dean with £3, 14.5.
Mm-hmm.
Do like a half. Fourth was Don Green with £3. Fifth was Derek himself with £2, 4.5.
Mm-hmm.
And sixth was Alec Rawlings with £2, 1. So well done running those matches, Derek, and all the guys who've been fishing. And they did have a little social on the Monday as well.
Yeah. And
they went to the Steeping Town section. I know he was messaging me saying it's normally swamped with roach, but it wasn't this time. Dave Ashmore won with £13.2. Brian Blackmore had 11.1. Nathan Watson 10.12. Dennis Houghton 9.1. Don Green was 5th with 8.15, and Mark Cook was 6th with £6.13. But it was a match dominated by perch, usually full of roach and skimmers. Well done, guys. Another brilliant season doing all that, so let's look forward to next season. And Derek's going riding bikes.
Yeah.
He's a motor racer as well.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, so the bike, he messaged me saying the bike racing starts soon. Be careful, those things are bloody dangerous.
Mm.
So that winds that up. Just before all he's put is sorry, mate. That is it. That's all Tom Cole, that's all you could put is sorry, mate. So anyone watching this, we actually knew Tom had cancelled, but I'm going to wind him up for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
See if I can get a better apology out of him from that than just sorry, mate. So we'll carry on with that. So we're going to be winding up Tom Cole and obviously Martin Green as well. We need to find. He's a big fan of Steven Gerrard, isn't he?
Yeah.
And he was defending him to the hilt last night. So what we're going to do later on, I'm going to find a few things on Steven Gerrard and just throw them at him. So if you hear me saying something about Steven Gerrard, just watch his face screw up as he bites back. Oh, right, I suppose we ought to get on to
March.
Wow, what a massive turnaround.
Yeah, I mean, how can I put it? Obviously, it was a smaller field. There's quite a few no-shows as well, so it made pegs that wouldn't normally have as much room more room. But all in all, it was how it normally is at the back end of the season. Not so much as big a weights as what won it, but you're always expecting a few ruds, skimmers. The roach disappear every year this time. It's like pommies or silver bream, whatever you want to call them. Odd perch, there's normally an odd eel, there's odd tench, there's an odd bream, there's just a bit of everything, and that's how it was really. So the match was absolutely paralysed by Steve Harwood. He drew next to the Health Centre Bridge, had a bit of room, and just had a red lead day. Unbelievable, £61.12 of rudd.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know if we can put the picture of that in the...
Yeah, we'll try and find a picture.
Yeah,
We've got a picture of that somewhere.
Amazing, really. And he even said he had a bad hour, so imagine what they've caught for all match. So I think he caught quite a lot of fish on big red maggot, which we all love.
Big red maggot.
Big red maggot. And a few on bread, and unbelievable day, really. Runner-up was Steve Spooner from Peg, I don't know what number it was, 11, 12, next to Wigston's at Bridge, which he caught rudd and skimmers as well, I think. So there's a bit of a theme. Anyone that had a bit of room caught plenty of fish. Third overall was Mark Pollard, MPEG in the whole match.
He draws well, doesn't he?
With the MPEG next to him.
Not
drawn. So it was MPEG with peg next to him, not drawn.
Oh.
So Mr. Watling's right. He doesn't draw better than Polly, I'll admit that. So yeah, he had £27.7, I think. Rudd, skimmers. It's just like been on a different river to some people.
Yeah.
Then Dan Abbott was underneath the clock. There was 3 pegs in there. There was an empty peg there as well. So there was just 2 sat under the clock. I think Dan had a nice battle with 4 times. Mr. Nudd. I think Dan had 25-12 and Nuddy had 24-12. Say something like that. It was close. But last in the frame was Simon Willsmore from One Above the Culvert. He had £25 dead. He's had loads of little rudd. He hasn't had any of them proper ones, just little dumpy little ruds. So he had 280 fish, I think he said.
John Taylor sitting with him?
No, John Taylor was the other side of the bridge. He had £19 odd. Yeah. So yeah, it fished mega. I think the lowest section winning weight was £14.
So we were talking about this, weren't we?
Yeah.
I just think loads of new fish have turned up.
Yeah, these fish have. Some people say they've been there the whole time.
Nah.
There's an odd fish there the whole time, but these fish have moved. It's like the roach have moved. They just, there was a tench caught, little ones, quite a few caught. They run of, they are where they are because there's loads of food chucked in by people feeding the ducks.
Yeah.
People that live on the boats.
Exactly, yeah.
And I think they come out of the marina, and especially that area there is full of willows, and fish love willow roots because they're like brushes to spawn against.
Well, they'll be there for the food to start off with.
Yeah.
They spawn a lot back end of April, those roads, because obviously I couldn't see them.
Yeah.
And they move, beginning of May, and they get them off again.
Yeah.
But yeah, you would have caught them, and I'll tell you why I'm convinced. I've been down with my live scope, and there were lots of areas which were devoid of fish before Christmas. And also, when we lure fish with really small baits, like little plastics, the skimmers and the roach tap it.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're in a peg that's got a lot of fish, you get these taps, and they're not perched. They're other fish tapping it, and we haven't had any of that all winter along there. So these are new fish that have moved in, and it just shows that with the water clarity, fish will hold up tight in shelter. And I'm convinced lots of these fish have been stuck in the marina, and they need to hide from the predation of the cormorants. And it's shelter for them. Obviously, once they get a lot of water coming through, the water level rises, they can go searching, can't they, for new food sources throughout the winter. Hence, they get into the town. But what a great match.
Unreal match, yeah. It's not quite the record, so Liam's still got that.
How did you get on?
I had £11.
Which, under normal conditions, this year would have been fantastic.
Yeah, I had... It was weird because I thought I'd be the right end of my section, but I was completely the wrong end, the way it fished. I was sort of near... Normally the peg I'm on is a good peg. I think there's a few people who've been down in the week and the day before in that area, and rudd are a bit temperamental, especially big rudd. You catch a couple normally and they spook, but if someone's been a day before and caught a load, the chances are you're not going to catch them the next day, because all of them normally come in the first hour. unless you draw like Steve or, you know, where you've got a bit of room and there's more fish to go at. But I drew a peg which won them hayjack on there the week before, but which was, they all caught skimmers, but there was just no skimmers to catch this week. I caught little tiny little silver bream, pommies, whatever you want to call them. I caught some perch, I caught 3 little roach, and I had 2 rudd in 2 chucks for about £1.50, I think, on the waggler. But the problem was, where we were, there's the middle level boat club, I think it is. So you got all the boats on the far bank, and there was about 15, 20 blokes trying to pull this boat out. So poor old Paul Constable, Patio Paul, he had them boats going in and out of his peg, and they were in and out, and they were up and down, in and out of their boats, moving them. Them rudd are not going to be there when it's like that. No. So that's what I think the reason why they were no good. But saying that, the pegs that I really fancied, sort of to my right, the long peg as we call it, where the bandstand is, Graham Welton really struggled. He had a tench and some odd rudd and odd skimmer. I think he had £11 something as well. And then behind the swimming pool, where everyone was thinking, oh, it's going to be a real big weight, 11s and 12s, I think there was an 18, I think Dan Webb had an eel. And on the concrete where I've drawn this year and caught like £30 a roach, I thought that would be a good area as well, and they've caught sort of 12s, 10s, 11s, £12. So yeah. You went to my left, poor old Paul struggled, Roy struggled, Derek Willen come down from Manchester area, I think he lives, he come down and he struggled. Then all of a sudden, the weights have just gone, they went 14, 15, 23, 21, blank peg, then Steve Harwood, £61, blank peg, then Danger Mouse, Dave Yardy had £18, the guy above him had £21, so it was like completely the wrong end, if you know what I mean. It's
a big movement of fish in a short period of time, isn't it?
Yeah,
a lot of fish have moved in the last 2 weeks. That's fantastic. Right, that's the match results and the roundup for the river season. Well done to all the match organisers locally. It's been fantastic.
Brilliant.
Good. Yeah, well done to Cheesy Bob.
Well done to Bob. Well done to everyone.
Organising all those March matches.
Long old year organising, isn't it? It's
we're downstairs just having breakfast, and I was saying to Alex, I'm glad it's the close season now. Kind of like you get to a point where you need a break, but it won't be long before we're chomping at the bit again.
Yeah.
Talk about chomping at the bit. We are going to go to the Daiwa factory.
Yes.
So we don't know how this is going to pan out because we can't film in the factory for obvious reasons.
No.
So what we're going to do, we've asked Martin's going to try and get some new kit. That's just out. Mm-hmm. So we've hopefully got some reels and rods to show you. So we may be somewhere in an office, I think. Mm-hmm. So I think in a few minutes, for 2 seconds for you guys, it'll be an hour or so for us. You will see us next in an office. Right, so we've done the factory tour and it's been amazing. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. A bit worried about Alex, might have to call an ambulance. He's behind me at the minute. He's gone bright red. Not quite sure what's happened. We think he's allergic to something. It might be the Scottish air, I'm not sure. He's claiming it's his shower gel. But a few things. I've managed to nick loads of lures. That's brilliant. So thanks for that, Daiwa. So we've got loads of lures. And we've seen loads of products and so forth. There's lots of little technical things that we need to talk about, but I'm going to employ the use of 2 experts. So from me talking now, we're going to go straight over to the tech department.
So when I was driving up here, I was sort of thinking, what do I expect? You sort of see some not videos, pictures and different bits and bobs, and in my head, what we experience isn't what I was expecting, to be honest. It's sort of, I suppose, mind-blowing is the word. It's, when you first come in, it's sort of, I don't know, I'm thinking a few rods and poles and different bits and bobs, but the actual attention to detail in every single little product is unreal. I mean, we're going to go through that and talk about a few different bits and bobs. But the first thing that sort of stood out for me was the first thing you showed us, Martin, and that was the design side aspect of everything.
Yeah, I've done quite a few tours over the years, and it's always great for me to see the reaction of people when they go into the environment and see it for the first time. And I sort of feed off that really a little bit as I'm sort of going around putting out different areas. But I always love to obviously start off with the engineering department, mainly because that's like the hub of our,
where everything starts from.
Yeah, that's the hub of bringing the consultant design, product design, potentially a new product design, and then that brings that all together, and then you see how you've seen it, how it gets actually put together from and it is unbelievable. Even right from that software program that's being used in Japanese, and the operator using that. So, and I don't, it was really interesting. We were looking at a rod there, a new rod for this year. The amount of points of components just to go into that butt section. So, not only that, different materials now as well. I mean, the quality of our products, I'd like to think, are the best they've ever been. Whether it be a rod, a reel, or a pole. Obviously, one thing we covered today was a new material. So we're going to be utilising in the future. So we've got, obviously, we went from engineering, and then I showed you, obviously, before we went into the processing room, blank manufacturing. We went into the cutting room, and you got to see all the pre-preg materials that are stored in there. We store everything very controlled temperature, stored in big fridges, explaining that different types of pre-preg, different usages of it, obviously. Now, obviously, you was quite surprised at the fact that X45, which we've been using now for a long time, in our rod development in particular, it was like a bias carbon, obviously stops twist and torque. We've got these little tools that are here manufactured.
When I first see it, I thought that's how the handles come on one of them. You have to shape it or bend it or whatever.
That's we've got now. That's a normal blank as such. You can see the amount of twist and torque that's the play in that. Obviously the two handle points, and then obviously X45 came along, so you can see the difference in that torque and twist is obviously dramatically affected and reduced. You've seen that, obviously.
Yeah, you can feel a little bit in there, but you need a little bit. If it was too stiff,
I mean,
it'd just break, wouldn't it?
If you see something, what's that there? 20 centimetres, is it? The play in that. So obviously that over a 12 or 13 foot feeder rod, when you're compressing the blank to cast a big weight a long way, so obviously I know that blank's a lot slimmer, and then X45 came along, and that really improved that.
So X45 are on tournament rods?
No, they were on SLRs when we brought the original SLRs out, and then they weren't on a tournament, and then they went to Arity. And then what has come along now is X45X. So that's now a new improvement on that bias carbon design. Just to be clear, we don't put, this isn't put throughout the whole rod, it's on certain parts of the rod. But if you'll see a dramatic decrease of torque.
Man, it is.
And that's what our design and development is all about. It's about, we're fortunate to have these types of specifications, and then trying to improve on them all the time. Just those little margins of design and production, just trying to make that product better all the time.
Cast more accurately.
A big thing about this is obviously when you cast and compress a rod through the air, the rod is twisting and moving all the time. So with this, it's stopping that happening. So what that does is it makes you cast more accurately. That's like the biggest thing. You're going in a straighter line more consistently, and then also that's improving the distance that you need to achieve as well. So because you're cutting down that torque, it's just an unbelievable bit of, and obviously with X45 as well, it's not affecting the blank. It's not adding any weight to the blank. And it's also not affecting the action of the blank when you're playing fish either. So, it's a big thing. Obviously, same again, mention reels as well. you know, some of the reels, we always like to start off with, we have certain specs that then we filter down at like lower price points. So we've got the new tournament feeder reel, which is we've just launched in the last couple of weeks. You know, once again, we're using materials that we've, you know, in high price points that we're now bringing these down. So, you know, got some key features here: iron body, making the reel a lot lighter. We've got 2 line clips on the spool. Big thing with this as well. The spool, the spare spool comes with a reel, also 2 line clips. And it's the same spec spool as well, so it's not a cheaper style spool or cheaper version, so I say. I mean, that for me now, that's, you know, for feeder fishing, that's going to be brilliant. I'll be able to mark up 2 lines. I'll clip up my long line.
Your short line.
Exactly. And then all I've got to do is unclip, give it a little mark with a line marker, so I know I can just go straight to my long line without changing anything, picking up another rod or just a quick change. And then obviously if I want to come back short line, I can just come back on my, or you can do it with the amount of turns. This has also got air rotor, a slightly lighter material as well. All important fold down handle.
That's the big thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Makes a big difference.
I mean, how many rods do you take away with you now when you're going, well, when you've been to Ireland and stuff like that in the past, even when you've come up here, you know, it makes a big deal, packing them away. And obviously, you know, you've got things like air bail, QD spool.
Yeah, that's the big thing, isn't it? That's massive. For a lot of anglers, the quick drags is immense, isn't it?
And then obviously, the key for me in this particular reel is mag seal. So you're going back to, you know, absolute mega winding power. Yeah, stunning bit of kit. That is absolutely stunning bit of kit. So,
yeah.
But no, hopefully you've enjoyed your.
I did. It was.
day.
It was to see. You sort of think, oh, there'll probably be about sort of 50 people working. There's hundreds of people working, and you could see each stage like that was being done. And you was explaining, well, that goes with that. That's going to be this. And then it goes to the next person, and the lady's doing that, and then the next person's doing the next stage. Then it goes in there, and then the painting stage. Even Andy come to use, didn't he? But it's just, you just don't think what effort goes into a rod or a pole. You know, it's immense, really. Isn't it?
Even for me, when I'm fortunate enough to take people around, you know, like yourselves. Even for me, you forget, you know, what goes, the attention to detail. You know, you could literally put on our poles and rods, you know, hand built, because even though some of it is still done, you know, by automated machines like the rolling of pre-preg on manuals and so on. You know, you saw the young lady there that was doing those number 7 sections.
Heavy manuals, isn't they? It's physical
they
work.
Are not light,
No.
You know, and they've got to be turned over and done there. Obviously, there's a lot of pole production happening today, you know, which is great for me to see coming out the other end from a commercial point of view. But you know, you're just seeing the different processes that are involved and the smoothness of it from process to process.
I don't know why, but I always thought that there was one massive, great big 16-metre mandrel, and they just wrapped it all like that, and then they marked, and then they cut it in each position. I don't know why. That's why I thought not each individual section done.
You would need a seriously long factory for that to happen.
I always think, how do they bake them? How do they, you know?
Yeah,
that's how I imagined it in my head. I'm thinking, yeah, that's just not logical to do it that way.
Like you could see today how much activity is actually going on in different areas, different builds, you know, all the way through that blank manufacturing process.
The other thing is, when customers come in the shop to me, they go, well, what's the difference between that? Why is that much more money? And coming here today, you can see why, because it's got this in it and it's got that little extra thing and that. And you can see the difference between the two, whereas I suppose it's hard for a customer. They just see a price. They don't see the actual what goes into each item, do they?
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. We're a very fortunate company to be making some fantastic products. You know, they are high-priced items. You know, you look at our pole manufacturing, but if you look at some of the products we're producing, you know, where we're at now and the level we're at now, the materials we're using, the manufacturing processes we're using, the machinery, like you said, the workforce, you know, these are all seriously skilled. different elements to produce that final product, and they all cost money.
Yeah.
You know, they don't just appear. You know, and obviously in a time where you've got increased costings, increased shipping costs, fuel. It's a very, very difficult environment. You've also seen today how we're being affected by certain delays of certain components.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's a big issue at the moment. We're struggling to get components in to finish off, particularly rod builds as well, because of shortage of guides and so on.
You sort of see a middle section for a rod, and it's got every eye apart from one.
Yeah.
And everything else is done. They're just waiting for that. But they couldn't then be completed until that one eye. You can't do it and then bring it back.
We're trying to maximise every single area where we can.
Yeah, so that was noticeable. There was no one not doing anything, but they all knew, like, the stages. It was like a production line, wasn't it?
That's what it is.
It is, and it was like
not 16-metre one.
No, it was like it was just amazing, really, to see.
Once again, I'll come back to that. I probably didn't say it early, but like we're fortunate, but we also take for granted of like, you know, what goes into that product to get it to that stage, and actually be that finished item.
Yeah.
That, you know, it always gets me when I spend a half a day or whatever with visitors in the past, and that it always really does, you know, give me a buzz that I see what's going on out there.
I mean, warehouse, we look around that, we looked at the service department, we'll touch on that in a minute, but just the whole system's just like clockwork.
Yeah.
You know, and then when one thing like that, like an eye, you can't get an eye for that particular rod, a tournament rod or whatever, slows other things down. They can't sort of stop.
No.
They have to go to the next thing, because like you were saying in the podcast before, you've only got X amount of time for them to build stuff, so you've got to just crack on for the next thing, haven't you?
Yeah.
Which is frustrating, because you've got stuff there that needs one little tiny little thing to be done.
It's very, very difficult, especially with what's happened and is still happening with delays, and you know, you're relying on certain supply chains and then getting let down there, so adding time, but you've still got a schedule to try and keep to from a manufacturing point of view, and also try and then not that to let other areas of the business, you know, you can't just stop and say, right, we can't finish these carbods now, or can then like we switch to that and make more poles. You know, it's not that simple.
No.
You know, it might be in a position where we're already making as many poles as we can, or certain sections, because of like the mandrills and so on that we looked at and explained that, because we've only got X amount of mandrills to make extra quantity of that. So it's all it's huge. It's
massive, isn't it?
It
is massive.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing I get like over the years. People come here and go, "Wow, I didn't realise it was you know, this big."
You know,
and it was good today because there was a huge amount of
stuff
production going through, and all like the same process.
Yeah.
You know, like from the taping machine going through, and the volume as well. You think the volume that was coming through there?
There was loads, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Loads. Yeah. You know, I mean, the fact that just, I don't know, they were making a top kit, for example. You think, oh, one person perhaps made that. There must be probably 25 different people working on the same, on that one top kit.
Yeah, and also it's a time thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, it's not, you don't just start making a pole on like Monday and it's finished by Friday.
No.
You know, that's going through all the different processes all the way through.
Yeah.
Like all the way, you know, all the way through to like inspection.
Yeah.
Like thread wrapping, you think of like what you've seen there today.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, from the quality that you saw but being done and achieved today was, you know, always just absolutely staggering for me.
And, you know, the real seats and
yeah,
everyone's got the job, haven't they?
Yeah, yeah.
And you can imagine if someone that specialises in that job, it comes down with COVID or whatever.
And that, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's another major thing, isn't it? That job that person did, no one perhaps can do that specific job, can they?
No, you can't just say, right, you know, like I laughed at a bit of a joke here, didn't I? It's McDonald's, you don't just say to someone, well, we need some more cheeseburgers, can you stop dishing up them fries and go and like help on that?
Yeah.
It's not
No.
You can't. It's not that simple,
you can't.
and you don't know it. You don't see it coming. It's not something you can plan
No.
for. It's very, very. As a company, I think we've done fantastically well to achieve the results we have done in the last 2 years with like what's been the challenges.
The other thing
we've had to get through
is you sort of hear of sort of everything's checked, and everything is literally checked, isn't it? People think they just come in the containers and all that, just shove it on. Every single thing through that thing is checked at every stage, isn't it? And then even at the last stage, it's still double checked.
Yeah, and that's because also the way that is done is that if there is an issue for whatever reason and something's not been done properly and a rod's gone out, there might be a key point on it that is wrong and it's returned from the consumer back to the retailer and then comes back to us. We can then follow that all the way back through and then find out or identify why.
Yeah,
that's been the issue.
Yeah, and the other thing is you were saying like you've got a system like that. So when a customer brings, say, a section back, and you know when they've generally done it or there is a manufacturing fault, you can tell. But the way you guys have got it, you know exactly whether it is someone trying to have you over it or it is a manufacturing fault, don't you?
Yeah, it's even with what our warranty with the service department, the young lady there that does with all the warranty returns, she wasn't there today, but everything is checked. We don't have a section return and it's been like it just broke. Oh right, okay, it's checked, and if there's an issue or potential issue, it's then fed back to the engineers, and the engineers check it because we need to know. If once again it comes back full circle about improving, like I was saying to you with the cleaning process of the sections before they were going into, when you look at that, it doesn't really look that exciting of a part of the production, really.
It just looks like
do you know what I mean?
Cleaning stuff.
Exactly, but it's hugely important. It's hugely important to the end part of the product and the end quality and lifespan of the product as well.
Yeah.
So it's every time. Honestly, it does still amaze me, and it's I say we're making the best quality products. I'd like to think that we've ever have done. So
no, it's good. No, I appreciate you sort of inviting us up here, and for me, it's been awesome to see how it's all made. So thanks for that, mate.
That's all right.
Well, Alex, that was amazing, wasn't it?
Brilliant, mate.
Yeah.
I'm so glad it's worth the 6-hour journey, isn't it?
I was looking at the time. We might get home by midnight, but it's okay.
It's alright, my face might have gone down by then.
Look at his face, it's unbelievable.
I look like Family Guy, isn't it? I look like Family Guy, isn't it? I look like Family Guy, isn't it?
I don't know what you had an allergy to, but it's made my day. I didn't know what to expect coming to the factory, and it has been. So, first thing before he goes out the door, Martin, thank you so much for organising this.
I'm going to grab a cup of tea.
Oh, get to. No, Martin's been brilliant. He's laid this on for us. It's absolutely superb. Walking around the factory, I did not expect to see this.
No, you don't realise how big it is, do you? And how each department works with each other as well.
You can see the logistics of it is huge. Huge. But just how they were making the poles on the mandrills from the sheets of carbon from scratch.
Yeah.
How they're making the rods from scratch, and then it's all assembled. But with the design team first, the design department, that was mind blowing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And how
technology they have. And,
it's like wow. To making the products, relying on external components that are out of their control, so they don't panic about it. They'll store that there.
I still think people go, there's that one there. No, that's the one we want. It's not like that at all.
No.
Every single little detail is designed for that reason.
Some companies go to China, pick up a rod, that will do, we'll have those.
Yeah.
This is specific.
Yeah.
And I stumbled across Prorex AGS Predator rods, Daiwa ones, obviously, because Prorex, about 4 or 5 years ago, because I just didn't know much about them. And these rods have been my go-to all the time for all the finesse, not finesse, but all the finesse perch fishing I do, and the light to medium heavy predator fishing. It's all the Prorex AGS, because they're just fantastic. But now I can see why. And I just I found these rods by accident. But today I've understood there's a reason why they're so good, because it's the thought process that's gone into making these products.
Yeah.
Everything that's done is done with a purpose behind it, isn't it? It's incredible.
Yeah.
So that was good. So we've seen loads of things. The people here, it's like a village with so many
It's
people.
like a family, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's like a family. Everyone's so welcoming, so that was really, really good. The people in the curry house tried to poison Alex last night.
I don't think it's curry. I've never had a curry poison me before.
So he's been poisoned by the curry, that doesn't matter. Even these twist sticks, I've never thought of that, but looking at the different quality of carbon, and then there's, sort of going to that, that's just mind-blowing. There's other things as well that I just didn't consider, because we saw the production.
I think for your side of things, obviously, me in the shop, I deal with the service department every other day nearly, I would say.
Yeah.
Just spares and different bits and bobs. And people come in the shop, and before COVID, service wasn't considered. Now customers are more looking for that after sales to sort of.
So Alex has read my mind. What I was about to say was that we've gone around the production.
Yeah.
And then Martin showed us the service department. And I said, service, do you mean this is what, with any faulty products, repairs, breakages? He went, yeah. And you're thinking, hold on a minute, they're covering every base. Because as an angler, as a purchaser, as a consumer, for me, okay, not many people are going to see the factory, but from my perspective, I'm thinking that's really important. Because if something breaks, I have these rods I use, they're not cheap because they're really good.
No.
But if they break, I want to know if I can get replacement tips or whatever.
Yeah.
And we spoke to all the people involved on that side. And guys out there, if you've got Daiwa products and you've broken something over the years, you need to phone the service department, because it's odds on they've probably got a replacement somewhere that you can purchase. That's the first thing.
Yeah.
If something's broken and it's under warranty, they will fix it for you. That's the other thing, because we forget about this as anglers.
Yeah, especially the real side of things.
But then we saw them doing the reel repairs. Now, this is a big thing for me, because my reels just get gunked up, and I've tried.
It's not fish line though, is it?
They go through a lot of abuse, and you put a bit of oil on it. But if you take them apart, there's so many delicate things that can go wrong. I don't want to take it apart.
Yeah.
So we spoke to the guys there, and I said, so I didn't know Daiwa did a reel service department.
Yeah.
I'm going to put a phone number in the description of the video, so you can phone them up. But this is the prices as well. I had to take a photograph just to remember them. So that's why I'm looking at my phone. If you've got a match or spinning reel, the service is $15.50.
Yeah.
That's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
If you've had these reels for 4 or 5 years, that's what happens normally. So for $15.50, your reel will be like new again. If it's a big pit or multiplier, it's £20.50. And if it's a mag sealed reel, it's $25.50. And also the price drops if you get more than one repaired.
Yeah.
So you get your match spinning reel, it's $39 for 3. The big pits multipliers are $54 for 3, and the mag sealed reels are $69 for 3. But the best bit, if you phone the number and explain to the guys what you want to do, you send your reels off to them. They will look at the reels and they will phone you back before they've done this and explain to you the best way forward.
Yeah. You might need this gear and that gear, and it might not be worth doing, but pretty much most of the time it is.
Yeah, and we were just talking for 10, 15 minutes, and they have so many spares of so many types of Daiwa reel, it is mind-blowing.
Yeah, I mean, for me it was the spares, the backup. There wasn't just an Arity and a Connoisseur, there was Connoisseur G50s, there's silly amounts of pole sections, silly amounts.
What we were looking at, there was rod butts tips from all over the world, wasn't there? Daiwa make. So if you've got a Daiwa product that you think they won't have it because it's from, I bought it when I went on holiday to wherever, you need to phone them if you want to replace one, because you just don't know. They probably have got it, because it's just it was like an Aladdin's cave, wasn't it? And it was just like we were all looking around going, what's this? It was incredible. So that was just another aspect of this trip that I would never have considered beforehand. So the whole thing's been amazing. One thing I did want to add, you may wonder why we're so far apart.
Yeah.
Because obviously we're in Scotland. The other thing we've had to go back to is different COVID rules. So there's a reason why we're sat like this. It's not because, it might be.
Maybe my face mask that's giving me the allergic reaction,
Could be, but we've had to then adapt to this. And the guys working at the factory are still under quite strict COVID rules.
They are, yeah.
That's the other thing to consider. They just got on with it. So, yeah, it's been incredible. What's been your favourite part of the day?
I don't know. What's been my favourite part of the day?
Well,
All of it. I've enjoyed all of it. Obviously, for me, the pole side of things, just how the poles are made is the attention to detail to get just everything really. The poles for me definitely, and the technology used to design a product.
Yeah.
The fact that it was in Japanese and the guy didn't even speak Japanese, but he knew how to work it was like amazing for me.
There's a lot of very talented people
Yeah,
working.
you could see a lot of the people who had been here a long time and they knew their jobs very
With a
well.
passion for the
Yeah.
It was a passion for the brand, wasn't it? As well, that's what came out. It wasn't a job.
No.
Because I was fascinated by the whole thing. Obviously, starting off with the design department and go for that. But I'll tell you which bit struck me as the most surreal is probably the wrong word, but the ladies whipping the eyes.
Yeah. The room was just completely calm, weren't it?
It was
like everything else was sort of noisy and things moving about, whereas in there it was just
sea of tranquility.
Yeah.
It was. So we're trying to set the scene. The rest of the factory, it wasn't unmanaged busy. It was busy. People knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
And they were off doing things, and it was like, okay, they know what they need to do, and they've got to get a certain number of these things done throughout the day. It was pretty obvious. And then you get to the ladies putting the eyes on the rods, and I'm just looking at them going, they're lining the eyes up by eyesight. They're that skilled. And look at the whippings, and what I like looking at were the trainee rods, the rods they were practicing on, that people who have been trained up, and just looking at the different whippings they're doing, and you just think, that's, as an angler, you think this is all automated now. And Daiwa, I think Martin said it earlier, they could put handmade rods, because they are.
Yeah.
They're handmade.
I think if you see that made in the UK, pretty much means it's handmade at some point.
And the quality is. And do you remember the lady? She was obviously the lead in that little part. She was then doing quality control, picking a piece of rod, just double checking everything. And I'm thinking, oh, please don't find one that's wrong. But she didn't. They all passed. You can see. And that to me was like, it was all fantastic. But I was just stood there watching these ladies, thinking, that was just incredible. How skilled they are.
Yeah. But I think going back to the service department, I think the reason why Daiwa poles do stand out more than others is the service side of things. Definitely.
Yeah. And as a consumer,
like I was saying before, if a customer's concerned about buying a pole and wants to know what the after sales, and there's no one to even match them. Nobody.
No, we're not saying that because we don't get anything out of this. We've been and seen it, and it's like it's been mind blowing. So it's been great, hasn't it? Right, we need to leave soon.
We do, yeah.
Yeah, otherwise it's
work
good.
in the morning.
Well, we'll be back on.
Well, like you retired, I'm gonna be up at 5. I might not get in till 5:30.
God, drive back. Well, you slept for an hour last night, didn't you?
Yeah, that's all. Yeah. Waking up every 5 minutes.
So we'll listen to the Arsenal-Liverpool game on the way home, and come on, you Gunners. Mr. Green's an ardent Liverpool fan, so there's been a bit of banter flying around as well. Right, guys, not sure if we're going to finish the video here. We might do a little bit on the way home when it's Thursday morning, who knows. So, it could be goodbye.
When Liverpool beat you 4-0.
Or it could be, or it could be another 2 minutes to sign off. We'll just see what happens.
Yeah.